However, I stumbled across a website that aggregated quotes about circumcision throughout all time, and something struck me about the Jewish ones. Let me show you. See if you can strike a pattern. Circumcision is a symbol of two things necessary to our well-being: the excision of sexual pleasure and to check a man's pride. 30 AD. The bodily pain is the real purpose of circumcision. One of the reasons is to bring about a decrease in sexual intercourse and a weakening of the organ. The fact that circumcision reduces sexual pleasure is undeniable. 1180 AD. Okay, well, these are ancient history. The foreskin represents man's worst animal-like urges. I like my animal-like urges. Impairment of sexual sensation is a special virtue of circumcision. 1985. Not too long before I was born. Now, these quotes didn't quite sync with the mainstream narrative. Was circumcision good for me, or did it damage my sexuality? Now remember, I was a 20-year-old male at the time. Not many things were more important to me than the health of my penis. And that still applies today. So I had to get to the bottom of this. I couldn't just let this incoherence rest. So I did what anybody should do if they're trying to learn about a topic, or any topic. I logged off the internet and I bought books. I bought books about the topic. And something crazy happened when I read books about the topic. I understood it. Isn't it crazy how books work that way? And what was even crazier that I understood was how insanely important and relevant the information contained inside these books was to everybody, how incredibly simple it was to understand, and how nobody knew it. Nobody knew it. So I did something diabolical. I learned everything about circumcision. I know everything about it, and I'm going to tell you. Buckle up, because it's going to be a bumpy fucking ride. So, the story begins 12,000 years ago. Sigmund Freud surmised that circumcision started as a step down from child sacrifice. So instead of sacrificing the child, you would just sacrifice an essential part of him, his genitals. Now, these genital blood sacrifices eventually lessened until just parts of his genitals were sacrificed, his foreskin. Now, many people erroneously believe, if you can believe it, many people erroneously believe something, but many people erroneously believe that circumcision started in the Old Testament, the Jewish Holy Book. Actually, Judaism adopted circumcision from tribes circumcising in the area. But if we take a look at the Holy Covenant in Genesis, we can see what it has to say. Every male among you who is 8 days old must be circumcised. Whether born or bought with your money, they must be circumcised. Any uncircumcised male will be cut off from his people. Now, a couple things to notice here. Every baby must be circumcised, and slaves too, because that was cool at the time. And if you weren't, you were cut off from your people, which was tantamount to a death sentence in ancient times. Now, Leonard Glick, who is a Jewish man with a medical degree and a PhD in cultural anthropology with a specialty in genital cutting, assures me that this is not even the original covenant. It was appended to the Bible in 500 BC for two reasons. Now, the first reason is the child is circumcised when he is a baby, so he has absolutely no choice in the matter. This forever forces him to look Jewish. Now, this promotes tribal cohesiveness, a primary objective of all tribal leaders, as they have a vested interest to maintain the social order of the tribe as they enjoy their status at the top of it. Now, the second reason is a little more interesting and plays to the underlying psychology behind genital cutting cultures. But let's use a modern day example: fraternity hazing. Now, when I was in college, I was in a fraternity. I know, shocker.